to Let's Talk Diz, a show that gives you everything you need to know to help make your Disney vacation as magical as can be in just about 20 minutes. I'm your host, Jeff Coviello. With me each week is Disney Master Sandy from Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services. Sandy, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. And this week is an interesting one, even for me. It's not something that I've ever really done. You know, we talk about taking these family vacations, and we've done everything from if you're going as just adults to small children to extended family. But we have not discussed yet is bringing along man's best friend. And so tonight we're going to talk about bringing pets with us to Walt Disney World.
Not Pluto.
No, not Pluto. Pluto's always there, I think. But a lot of us are very attached to our pets for a number of different reasons. So we think it's an interesting topic to break down as to how you could bring your pet to Walt Disney World.
You bet. And I think it's important to talk about what is a pet. Both Disney and the state of Florida really makes three big distinctions. There's your pet, which might be a dog, but might be a rabbit, a bird, a tarantula, a lizard, a kitty cat.
Right.
Then there's a true service animal that is a documented animal that has been trained to provide a service medically to help a human. And that service animal, again, under U.S. law, can only be a dog or a miniature pony. And I'm still waiting to see the miniature ponies.
Oh, you and me both. That would be fantastic.
And that comes from cultures where it is against their religion to put a dog to work, but not a horse.
Got it.
Hence the reason there's that distinction on a service animal.
Sure.
And then there's an emotional support animal. And big distinctions, because Disney used to be great about emotional support animals. I had many clients with them. We've had cats and birds mostly. But in July of 2015, the state of Florida changed their law, and they no longer require that any hotels support emotional support animals. Hotels and restaurants are now exempt. So we'll talk a little bit about the three segments because they're all going to have different ways to bring that part of your family on vacation.
Well, let's begin with the service animals because those are a very specific type of animal. So, you know, I think it's important to make that distinction there. You talked about a medical need, something to assist a human being going through their daily life. Very different than if I'm bringing my dog or even an emotional support animal. So let's begin with that.
You bet. And with any animal that you're bringing on Disney property, you must disclose it when you're making your reservation or make sure that your travel agent discloses it. Because the flip side is that some people will say things like, I have severe dog allergies. I don't want to be in a room where a dog is.
Yeah.
And all of those things are really taken into account. So service animals, because they are a medical necessity, again, you're going to need to disclose that you're bringing them, but there is no fee to bring them because a service animal is something you need. Disney cannot look at any paperwork from any doctor or any medical facility. The only thing they can ask you to do is share with them what service has the animal been trained to perform. So again, not why do you need it, what is the dog doing? And because it is a true service animal, that animal is going to be with you all the time. When you leave the hotel and you go to the park, it's going with you. Service animals definitely are the exception to the rule. They can go on all of the transportation. They can go pretty much anywhere because they are trained differently. They are documented differently. And I have to say, we should all know that you are never, as somebody not traveling with a service animal, but seeing one in the park, you never want to go up and pet that dog. That's a major no-no. But I will totally admit that if you are in the theme park and you're nearing an attraction and you can keep an eye on the dog, definitely do so. Disney's handling of service animals on attractions is amazing. There are calmer rides like It's a Small World, where a dog can actually ride at their human's feet. But then there are rides like Slinky Dog Dash that poor dog is definitely not hopping on.
No.
And it is amazing to me to watch how they handle that. They have cages set aside at those bigger attractions, those more robust attractions, and they literally pop up a temporary cage. You head to the attraction. A member of your family walks the 25 feet from the ride car to put your dog into that cage. You all ride, and then the reverse, and then the cage goes away like they were never there.
Wow.
Watching them do character interactions is incredible, especially Disney Cruise Line. The dogs love the princess meet and greets. So definitely something to watch. And again, these service animals are going to be wearing something to disclose that they're service animals. They are trained differently. There are locations in all of the parks and the resorts that are areas for the dog to be walked. You're not going to find somebody, going up right on the hub and letting their dog use the grass there. That's just not going to happen. So that number one thing that we're dealing with is the service animal. And again, they're always going to be free at the Disney resorts.
Okay, so that's a very specific need. So let's talk about just a traditional family that is maybe traveling and they have their animal with them. There are certain things, obviously, that they need to agree to. Obviously, you said you had to disclose anytime you're bringing an animal with you on property, so I'm assuming that's no different. Let's break that down for folks that are interested or need to bring their pet with them.
Great. And I'm going to start with the dog because Disney has made dog-friendly resorts, and that is it. So I talked earlier about your cat, your tarantula, all of that. We'll talk about them in a minute. But only your dog can go on property and stay in a resort with you. And there are 4 places they can stay. Fort Wilderness, and there are very specific pet loops. Art of Animation, Port Orleans, Riverside, and the Yacht Club. So they make sure that they cover every different budget need, but it is specifically those 3 resorts. There are specific rooms set aside in each resort. It doesn't mean that you'll never stay in a pet room if there's not a need for it and the resort is at 100% occupancy. But those rooms are selected based on where the dog relief areas are. Mm-hmm. Again, you're going to disclose that your pet is coming with you. You pay a non-refundable fee of $50 per dog, a maximum of 2 dogs in a room, regardless of the room size. So you're in a room at Art of Animation or you're in a 3-bedroom Grand Villa, it's still that maximum of 2 dogs.
Got it. Okay.
When you check in, it's Disney, so of course it's cute. You're going to get a little dog welcome package, everything from a Pluto's Do Not Disturb sign to alert cast members that there's a dog inside.
That's brilliant. Yep.
Cast will never enter your room without a member of the family present. They don't go in and clean while you've left your dog crated in the room. Mm-hmm. A special dog bowl, some little treats, really something to make it fun and memorable. But you do sign in 18-point release form. And I have to say, I encourage people to think very carefully before opting to bring your dog and staying in the resort with you. We're going to give you another option in a minute, but we talked about the service animals and them going pretty much everywhere. That's not the same for a regular dog. They cannot go in the parks. They cannot go on transportation. They cannot go to the pool. They cannot go in any food service area. And they cannot be left unattended for more than 7 hours.
That's a big one. That last one there's a big one. I'm listening to it and I'm going through the whole thing and I'm understanding it, and then you get to that last piece. And 7 hours that's a tricky thing for folks that are on Disney vacation.
It's a big one, and I know some people are going to say, "Listen, I go to work and my dog is home for 9 hours."
Right.
But some of you listening may be rope droppers and park closers, and you're leaving your room at 7 a.m. and you're getting back at midnight.
Right.
So the 7 hours is kind of what they've deemed the most a dog should be unattended. The other thing that you agree to is leaving your cell phone numbers at the desk, because, again, Disney's all about everybody's experience. And while you have paid for your dog and you're entitled to be there with your dog, of course, provided you have all of their up-to-date vaccination records with you.
Sure.
They don't want your dog disturbing other people, and rightfully so. So if your dog is a barker or a crier when they're left alone, you're going to get a call that says, hey, Jeff, it's been 35 minutes and your dog is still barking. We need you to come back. I do know of cases where that's happened. I also know of cases where if you think they're kidding, you may find that you need a new hotel later that night. Things happen and you come back, you sit with the dog a while, you get them calm. That's great. You decide that you can wait 3 hours to come back. Not so great.
Right.
Think carefully about it, because I get not wanting to leave Fido home, but who are you helping by leaving him in the room all day? What experience are you creating?
Well, and there's a couple of different things, right? I mean, it depends, as we've always said on this show, it depends upon your traveling party. It depends upon the nature of your travel. It's a very different experience that if you are stopping there for 1 or 2 nights and this is a convenience, then versus if you're going for 10 or 12 days, it becomes a little bit of a different scenario. When you look at the list of the 18 things that you're signing off on, and again, reach out to your travel specialist if this applies to your party. Some of it is very, very self-explanatory as a responsible dog owner, in the sense of cleaning up after your pets and being responsible if your pet damages anything inside the room. You know, those are types of things that you would think any concerned pet owner would take care of. But there is a significant list here. So if this does apply to you after you're listening to this show and you're booking with EasyDiz, talk to your travel specialist. Make sure you get a look at this before you really, really feel that this is the right move for you and your family.
There is, and I will point out one other rule besides the 7-hour. You know, like you said, many of these are just common sense. But the two that I think are most important is that 7-hour rule. And then the second, I know some people are going to go, this isn't how it works in my house. At no time is any pet permitted on any furniture. That means if Fido only sleeps in bed next to you, that's a no-go.
Yeah. Again, there's not a camera in your room. No one's watching them, but you need to be courteous. You need to be respectful of the fact that you're on property and that somebody that comes in that room after you might have an allergy, might not be a dog person. So following the rules are helpful and they're necessary to ensure that people that are not just you and your traveling party have a good experience. You mentioned 4 resorts, the Fort Wilderness, Art of Animation, Port Orleans Riverside, and Yacht Club. That's if they're going to stay with you. You know, what if it's not a dog? What if you're bringing something that's not a dog? You said only dogs can stay there, or let's say that, you know, you want to take your pet somewhere off property. What if you're dealing with one of those two situations? What can you do with your pet if it's traveling with you?
There is an off-property pet center, and I will say some of you may be listening and saying, you can just drop them for the day right by each park entrance. That was true many years ago. They have closed all of those little doggy daycares at the front of each theme park. And while it is considered off property, depending where you're driving on property, you're literally going to pass Best Friends Pet Care. Mm-hmm. It's located over by the old Key West, Port Orleans Riverside area, Golden Oaks, not too far from Epcot. So it is on property. And they handle everything. And I have to say, I've toured there several times when we do our team training, and it's a super impressive facility. They will take everything, as I said, from your cat, your tarantula, your rabbit, your bird, your goldfish. Those of you that travel with a goldfish, you know. You laugh at some of the things, but I have to be honest, I've been doing this enough years that every time I think I've heard it all, I hear one more.
Sure.
We've had 2 clients that I can think of off the top of my head who I'm grateful for their service to our country. They have goldfish as a result of stress of being former military. And so they have brought their fish with them when they drive, because you can go over to Best Friends and visit them. And that's kind of their calming thing. So you never know what you're going to find there. There is a room for kind of all those little unique animals. Then there is a feline room. And in that feline room, you can pick anything from a single condo, a double condo, or a triple kitty condo with all kinds of climbing apparatus in it. Mm-hmm. And then there's dog areas. And again, there are different size cages. And then there are little doggy suites. And obviously the prices vary. The add-ons in this place are kind of incredible. If you do one of the doggy suites, not only do you have the ability to hop on an app and watch your dog play, but you can leave home videos or your dog's favorite movie for them to play so that your dog can watch you during the day and hear your voice. That room and most of their dog options, you can choose everything from, do I want to pay extra for my dog to only have bottled water? Do I want them to have story time? Do I want them to have individual playtime versus group playtime? All of the dog condos have their own direct access to their own private outdoor play area. And they all come with a nice little note written to mom and dad about their day at the end of the day each day. They do have people on staff 24/7. You are always welcome to go visit your dog or cat or whatever animal you've brought. But again, that gives your pet a vacation and a better experience than being stuck in the room all day. It gives them all of that human attention.
Well, and depending upon how much you would pay to board a particular animal at home, you can do the math and figure out if that works for your party.
And the nice thing is, if you don't want to leave them for that long, then even if it's the same as boarding them or a little bit more, you can stop in and visit them every day, which obviously is not an option if they're 300 to 500 miles away at home.
A little bit more difficult, yes. All right. In the beginning, you had talked about a third particular category of animals, and it's the emotional support animals. So let's give that a couple of minutes because I know you wanted to kind of get back to that before we said goodnight.
And emotional support animals are becoming a huge thing in this country. And again, it's under Florida law that Disney no longer handles them. They used to handle them. And I'll be honest, it's a lot. And it's part of why in that state they made the choice not to force hotels to handle them. Because again, emotional support animals aren't able to go into the park. One of the other things to think about that they used to have to accommodate on an emotional support animal and that they don't have to accommodate when you bring your own pet is what happens at checkout. What if you brought your dog and your last day is a park day? It can't be a park day after 11 a.m. because you need to vacate the room and you need to get your dog out of there.
Right.
And we used to have to do a lot of work with special services to be able to keep the emotional support cats and birds and all of those things in an air-conditioned hotel room for their safety as well. So again, on property is strictly going to be dogs. One thing about Disney's rule on pets on property is that basically there is a line that says, I understand and agree that the hotel remains the right to exclude my pet at its sole discretion if it believes it is dangerous by reason of size, disposition, or likely to frighten or harm other guests.
It's a catch-all. It's a catch-all, essentially.
It's a catch-all to say, if this isn't working, you're done.
Right.
So, there are definitely instances where bringing your dog makes sense, but I really encourage you to think about whether bringing your pet on vacation is really giving them a vacation and a great source for them, or a little bit more for you and making sure that you're able to enjoy the magic fully and they're able to enjoy things too.
Well, we have reached the end of today's program. So is there any last minute things you want to share with anybody about this particular topic before we say goodbye?
Again, just know that it takes a lot of paperwork and a lot of forethought. So put the thought into it and make the decision that's going to be best for your family.
Sandy, as always, thanks for taking the time today and have a great week.
You too.
And that's a wrap this week on Let's Talk Diz. If anyone you know could benefit from this or any show, please share on your Facebook and Instagram for other Disney fans to enjoy. And don't forget to reach out to the folks at Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services for any Disney destination planning. Make it a great week. And as always, keep making memories.